All right, so my Deep Madness came in. I kickstarted this one, I want to say about a year ago. It's a Cthulhu themed sort of board game adventure. Bunch of dudes on a map, tiles. This one looks at the underwater aspect of the Cthulhu mythos. In particular, they have Father Dagon and Mother Hydra in this. If you've got the expansions, anyways. So if you're into Cthulhu and those types of games, that's sort of the slant on Deep Madness. You're looking at the underwater sort of things that go on with Cthulhu. So, anyways, this is by Dimension Games, and that's some really interesting artwork, you could say. Um, there, it kind of went through a little bit of change during the development of the game. Um, Mainly because it was a little difficult to understand or denote the creatures that it was depicting and some of the cards, and I'll show you that a little bit later. Um, in the base game, you get a very nice rule book and with some good examples of play. I will say I've actually read through it, and I am planning on setting up the game later to play it. The rule book has some good examples of how to play it, but at the same time, there are some things that they leave out wait until the very end of while they're explaining it. For example, exhausting your sanity. It was a little odd at first because they keep talking about it, but they don't explain how you do that. And it wasn't until the end that they show that. However, they do have a lot of examples of how to do other things, and as they go through the rules, they at least show some examples. Um, Things are a little dark, not just as a game itself, but I think some of the iconography could probably be a little bit better, just because they can be very difficult to see, at least in the rule book. I think some of the dark browns and the reds and stuff, they kind of blend together, and if you are colorblind, I could see where this might throw you for a loop in some instances. The other thing is the back of it is story, meaning, towards the end of the whole thing of the rule book, you have all of your missions that you're going to go through. And the last page is actually just more story of the last mission that you'll do. I would have liked to have seen like something that was maybe a guide or a sheet that said, hey, this is what all the different things mean, or these are some rule references, kind of like on the back of other games. But at the same time, this is one of the first games, or if not the first game, I think that Dimensions has done. So can't criticize them too much. It's first shot at things, and as you'll see from the rest of this, the production value actually is incredibly good. But I will say that the rule book was a little funny, but not too bad. I haven't punched this out yet, but you get a lot of different tokens and things that will mean uh, certain things as you go along. These are your devoured labels as you go through the rooms. Sometimes they'll get devoured, they change and they flip over. It's all different sorts of dials. These things are for your oxygen, because as you can imagine, you're underwater, so your oxygen is going to deplete. There's doors that you'll go through and you can lock them. It's really kind of neat. I like the system that they have set up for that. Kind of gives you that terror, like you're behind a door and trying to stop the creatures from getting through. So if you did kickstart the game, you'll also actually get some plastic doors, which you can set up in the on the game board to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing. And of course, you get a ton of miniatures, and they are just like what they showed in the Kickstarter itself. Different different types of baddies out there. These are sort of your normal ones that you'll see running around in the game, and they're incredibly well done, I have to say. I like the detail on these guys, just so you can see them. It might be a little too close. There we go. This one's kind of neat. Disturbing, but pretty cool. Alright, well, I mean, if it's not disturbing, it's not Cthulhu, I suppose. Then, of course, you have a lot of the the dudes that you can be. And again, the detail is good. There's nothing to complain about with these miniatures. And in this video, I'm really just going to go through the base game. I will show some of the extra stuff in a later video. But some really nice minis, into that sort of thing. Some of the base tiles that you're going to get in the game, they're hard stock, they're good value, and they have both the side where things are normal, and then when things get messed up. Okay, and when they get messed up, or when they get devoured, as they say in the game, that's where you'll get a spawn token where monsters can come out from the woodwork, and you'll also put sort of negative modifiers throughout the room in the different spaces. I mean, if you've seen what do you call Strange Things, it's something like that. It's maybe the other side, the upside down. It's kind of like that. So anyways, very nice, good quality. More room tiles, of course, as you go through. The art is pretty disturbing when you get down to it, because now it's all red. There's blood everywhere. It's already kind of bad, but then things just get really horrible. So a lot of good tiles. The game also comes with your epic monsters. They suggest not using these right away because of their epicness. And these are taped in, so I gotta undo that tape. And I should say, I went ahead and actually undid the cellophane on the tiles and things. They were all wrapped up, but I got rid of that for the video, so it's a little easier to show you these things. Models are, again, very good quality. I did notice on a few of them that there are some sort of, they look like wet spots. I imagine it's just extra glue, maybe some, what do you call, depending on whatever the glue it was that they used. There's a little bit left over, so I have seen a few sort of shiny bits that kind of stand out, and I may do something with later. But these are the big baddies that, again, they say don't put into the game until you've probably played it a little bit and you're used to the rules and everything. And this is Bathophobia, which I think is pretty great. And its disturbingness, everything in here is disturbing to a degree, but really well done. You have your equipment cards, and I will say they slide really nicely. They feel good in the hands. The art is good. Pretty easy to read, and once you get the rules down, you'll know what the different symbols down here mean. What that is, I mean, that's telling you that it's a ranged weapon, whereas you have the knife over here symbol, that means it's a melee weapon. There are certain types of equipment, that's what that symbol means. And these are sort of one-shot use. If you see that triangle thing, it means like you're going to use this and lose it. That's pretty much it. And then you have your madness cards when you go crazy and some bad things that will happen to you. And I guess I should show you this. You'll have some flavor text that goes along with it when you do go insane, and then it tells you like what happens to you when you are hurt, when you go mad, because you will go mad. That's the whole point of the game. More cards. Again, it's good quality. There's no doubt. They did not skimp on the cards. I like them. They're pretty strong. Could be a little stronger, I suppose, but I think they're good. Then you have the nice sort of big cards to represent the monsters as you play. I mean, look at that. The art is pretty nice. But you can see, like I was saying before, sometimes it's a little muddled in terms of it's reds and browns and darks, and you can't really see it all that great. I would almost, in the game, if you can't see it that well, but you know that, this is the model that goes with it, but you want a quick reference, you can actually, maybe, because you get so many models, you can place a model on the card just to remind you, okay, yeah, when this thing activates, it's actually these models that are going to start moving, because when you play the game, you'll see that there's an alternating. It's like one guy moves, and then the monsters move, and then another guy moves, and then monsters move. But it's specific to the monster that's going to be moving. Your character cards, again, art style is great. Tells you if they have any extra equipment that they start with, and of course their abilities. How good they are at escaping. It's over here, so that 4 value. It kind of means like if they can get overwhelmed more easily if that number is low. Then their health and their sanity. The higher the sanity, the better. It means they can kind of do more stuff in the round, or at least they can kind of they can do more abilities. And then of course the big baddies. And this is where I was saying they had to change the artwork on these. Initially they were very they were kind of like on the box art. A lot of very difficult to really know which one went with what. They're beautiful pictures, so to speak, but they weren't the easiest to understand. So anyways, great stuff. Then of course you have your rings, and the rings all have the they have like a little tab over on the side, so that if your monster gets wounded, if they're not totally killed, you can put a wound marker token in the back of it to note how many wounds they've taken until they're going to die. That's kind of a nice feature I like, so you know sort of which monsters to go after if you have to choose between the baddies. And then you have little cards to represent the characters, and again this has to go with this goes along with the turn order. So like when you're setting up the board and you're trying to figure out, okay, who goes next, you'll lay out the cards kind of like this, side to side, with the monsters below them, and they'll activate between, first this guy goes, then a monster goes, the monster card will be below it, and then this person goes, then the monster goes, then this person goes, then the monster goes. I will most likely set up the board and show how that works later. And these are the cards to represent which monsters might get spawned when you get to that phase of the game. There's different phases of the game, obviously. Anyways, whichever monsters that you chose for the adventure, you'll take these cards and you'll shuffle them all together. And when it says, okay, spawn a monster, you'll pick so many cards, and based on whatever comes up when you turn them over, that's what's going to get spawned. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Oh yeah, and the dice. Forgot the dice. These are really cool 12-sided dice, which you will roll from time to time depending on what the monster. If the monster card says to roll this dice, you'll roll it, and then the different symbols like the mouth or the tentacles and stuff like that, it'll tell you what effect it has. And then you have your investigator or your people, what dice they're gonna roll. Essentially, you succeed in a 5 and a 6, so you got 33% chance, 33.333333. Anyways, dice are nice. I like how they're rounded on the sides and stuff. They're nice. Oops, they're nice and weighty, so they got some weight to them. They're not too flimsy. So it's pretty cool. Anyways, really excited about setting this up at some point and playing it, and hope you enjoy this. And I will get some of the other expansions. I'll just show you real quick. It's kind of a lot. Endless Nightmares. We have Uncounted Horrors, Rise of Dagon, the Oracle's Betrayal, and then some of the extra stuff that came with the Kickstarter. Pretty neat. Anyways, take care. Bye-bye.